Hey everybody, there's a story that I wanted to talk about for quite some time, and the first thing I have to say is viewer discretion advised. If you saw the thumbnail, if you saw the title, then you know what I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about the escalation of acid attacks taking place in London. Many of these are taking place in East London, but the first thing I want to say before getting into all of that is that although we call these acid attacks, they're not necessarily acid, it's just some kind of corrosive substance or liquid. This could be kerosene, it could be Drano, it could be fuel, bleach. And you know, we say colloquially acid attacks, but it actually could be a base as well. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about a few very specific examples that we've seen recently. So not too long ago, 3 young men on mopeds were riding around and within 90 minutes had attacked 5 people to steal their mopeds. We heard a story about a pregnant woman who was splashed in the face and stomach, as well as her partner got splashed. And a few days after that, this was a particularly high-profile story, a paramedic was flagged down to help some young men who immediately pulled up masks and splashed her with some kind of corrosive. These attacks have been escalating dramatically. From 2011 to 2016, there were 1,500 attacks, with 455 taking place just last year. That means a third of the attacks over a 5-year period were last year. As of July of this year, there have been nearly 300 attacks. And the year is just about half over, so it really does seem like 2017 might surpass 2016 in terms of corrosive substance attacks. These people are buying something, they're going, seeking out a substance they know is corrosive, and they know this will horribly disfigure people, especially when they splash them in the face. It could blind people. You lose your eyelids. You have to get skin grafts. It is terrifying. So these people who are committing these random acts of violence know full well what they're doing, and that's really what's scary. Now, most people, when they hear about acid attacks, there's this narrative in the media about, you know, for instance in India, where a man will try to marry a woman or date her or sleep with her, and when she refuses, he'll get revenge by splashing her in the face. Many people really believe that majority of acid attacks are on women, but according to 24 studies that looked at 771 attacks, majority of the victims are men. Overwhelmingly, the victims are men. Surprisingly, Jamaica tends to be the country with the most acid attacks, which was news to me. I mean, that's not, you know, we talk about East London having an explosion of acid attacks, but according to these studies, it's actually Jamaica. There have been acid attacks in the US over the past several years, but it's not nearly as widespread as it is becoming in London. So we don't know the motivations in a lot of these attacks, but many people believe that it could just be, it's a really easy attack to carry out. I mean, look, when you spray someone with acid, they are immediately incapacitated. You hit them in the eyes, they can't see, and they are down. And they are in need of immediate medical attention. So in the instance of robberies, it's very easy for someone to just go and splash another person and know they're going to get away because they won't be identified and their victim is immediately shut down. Now here's where it gets scary. A lot of these attacks, like I said before, are just corrosives. I mean, you can go to any store and buy pipe cleaner, which is very corrosive. But here's where it gets even freakier. Sulfuric acid, which is, I think we're all familiar with sulfuric acid. It's described as flesh melting. Victims see their skin, their clothes peeling, just falling off. You can go to walmart.com and buy a 98% concentration of sulfuric acid for less than $20. So a lot of people think that it's so easy to get these corrosive substances that that's what they'll do. And they know that it'll incapacitate their victim and they're going to get away with it. Now, a lot of people talk about East London being, you know, a dangerous place or crime is getting worse. And this is where most of the attacks are happening. In fact, there is a delivery company in London called Deliveroo. It's kind of like Uber Eats. You can order food and have it delivered to you. Many of their drivers are refusing to go to certain parts of East London because these attacks are becoming so widespread. And now the company, the Deliveroo company, is providing helmet cams to people so that hopefully in the instance of an attack or something that they'll have video of what happened or they'll have some kind of evidence. I've had conversations with people about these acid attacks for a while now. I mean, we've been hearing about them for months. I mean, since last year. There was a nightclub attack in April where some guys got into a fight, someone sprayed some kind of caustic substance, and a ton of people got hit. There was some model who got burned. So it's been in the news. And I've been talking to friends about it, kind of sussing out, you know, the situation, how people think, how they feel. And usually most people say, can't you neutralize the acid with a base? And so I went online and actually looked up, you know, what should you do if you are attacked with acid? And first, let me just say, rinse, rinse, rinse. That's really all you can do. Now, most people know that when an acid and a base combine, they sort of neutralize each other. But here's the thing, bases can be as corrosive as the acid. And if you don't know what substance was sprayed in someone's face or on somebody, you don't know how to treat it. That's the big problem. Water is pretty much the best thing you can do. Just try and rinse it off. And it's not so simple even if you do know what someone was hit with. Let's say somebody was sprayed with acid and you want to use a base to neutralize it. Well, unfortunately, when an acid and a base combine, they also produce what's called an exothermic reaction, meaning it gets really hot. So now you might be risking chemical burns as well as actual burns on somebody. This whole story just gets scarier and scarier because pretty much if you're sprayed in the face, if you're sprayed, you're going to be burned. There is nothing you can do. You can rinse it off, you can get treatment. Hopefully what they used isn't as bad as, say, sulfuric acid, but it's gonna be bad. There's one story where a man heard a knock at the door and he thought it was a courier, but apparently it was a guy holding sulfuric acid. When he opened the door, the guy said, "This is for you, mate," and splashed him in the face. Now, apparently this was a case of mistaken identity. The man who did the splashing, it was some kind of a revenge attack, and he went to the wrong house. This guy just opened the door to see who was there and got hit in the face, causing severe damage and disfigurement. So, what is being done about all of this? Well, there's been a lot of talk about increasing the penalties for carrying out an acid attack, for even possessing acid. And it is illegal to carry acid with the intent to cause harm. And there's the big challenge. The police have to prove intent. So if you have a regular bottle of sulfuric acid, well, they can't really prove you intended to do anything wrong with it. If you went to the store and bought drain cleaner and you're walking around with drain cleaner, they can't prove that you're planning to do something wrong. I guess if you have it in a spray bottle, which many people have actually done, they've put acid into spray bottles to spray people, I guess then they can kind of prove intent. But without that, there's nothing they can really do. And in many of these cases, like I said before, the perpetrator gets away, either because the victim doesn't want to press charges or the investigations don't go anywhere, there's no witnesses, nobody knows who did it. But a lot of advocates have proposed some changes. One, they want to regulate the sale of corrosives. Another thing that people want are harsher sentences. In many of these cases, the assailants don't go to jail for that long. But recently it was announced that if you attempt an acid attack, if you carry one out, you could face life in prison, and this is in the UK. Because look, this is a serious attack. These people know that they're going to horribly disfigure somebody, and it's terrifying that simply for stealing a $1,000 moped, that they're gonna ruin your entire life. Now here's the unfortunate wrap up. If somebody wants to commit a crime, they're going to do it. And the reality is there's significantly more horrifying things than acid attacks. Like, seriously. You know, although it's easy to get this stuff, every store sells some kind of corrosive. If somebody wants to do it, they're gonna do it. Regulation's not gonna stop that. Fear of punishment isn't going to stop that. Stopping people from buying corrosives might not actually do anything. And how would you regulate every single corrosive? This is a terrifying story, truly, because it's one of the most vile and horrific things you could do to somebody. But this is something that I wanted to talk about. I actually had a few people request that I do something talking about the issue. I know a lot of people think that it's related to, you know, a religion or a region, but it kind of just seems like it's a really cheap way to ruin someone's life. But let me know what you think about all of this. Comment below. We'll keep the conversation going. If you like the video, click the like button. And yeah, let's talk about it. If you want to support the work that I do, you can go to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like. Give nothing at all. My videos will always be free and available. But when you support me, you help me do the work that I do. And I've got some trips coming up. This is not a new camera rig. I know some people have commented on it. It's actually my old camera rig, and it takes a lot more work to use this than it does my GoPro and what I normally shoot with. But I don't know. I'm playing around, having fun. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram @TimCast. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.